We are back on Morning Line. Thanks for joining us. It's our final segment this morning. Professor John Weil from MTSU. Always good to have him on. And it's great to bounce things off him and get his take on what's happening with politics. Nice to have you here, sir. And getting several calls this morning. The line's open if you want to jump in. We've got this final segment, and waiting through the break is Bob. Let's go to Bob. Hi, Bob.
Hello?
How are you, sir? Go ahead.
Okay, I got a question for you.
Sure.
I've been in politics all my life. Why can't we just have a general primary? That way people can vote across party lines.
Just kind of the
answer to that was call your senator or congressman. I think that has a big influence on the parties trying to hang on to their monies. And my second question is the Electoral College. A lot of people want to get rid of it, but if it's in their favor, they don't want to get rid of it. So how do we solve this problem?
Thank you, sir. And boy, that's a whole other show, but you've called the right man for it, Professor. I think there's still people out there that fully don't understand what the Electoral College does.
Well, let's start with the first question.
Sure.
There is actually a state that does what he wants.
Where it's just a general vote, nonpartisan?
In Louisiana, there's like a general primary, and the first two candidates for like the gubernatorial race go against one another, whether they're from different parties or whether they're from separate parties. So that has been done. Electoral college, of course, is much more complicated. You know, what's interesting is if you watch the convention, one of the things it just seems like all show, but if you have basically a parade of states, every state, and when they announce the results, they always, Tennessee, the home of the volunteers, the home of, the father, mother of X number of presidents, on and on and on. And I think, we still remain a nation of states, and we elect officials from our states, and for better or worse, we're still stuck with this system of, and the advantage of it, of course.
I was going to ask you, what are the pros and cons of the Electoral College?
The advantage is it does enable candidates probably to more effectively campaign. Now, that's a disadvantage. It means in a state like Tennessee, we're not going to have a lot of people coming here in a typical election unless they want one of the neighboring markets, which might be a swing state. But as long as we're solidly Republican, not a lot of incentive to be here. Look at where Hillary Clinton has been the last 2 days. Yeah. Florida. Trump has been where? Pennsylvania. Sure. Ohio. There are half a dozen states that if you knew how they were going to go, you pretty much know how the election's going to result.
How would things change truly if just for the presidential election, what we did is we erased the Electoral College and it was just everyone, I don't care where you live, just go out and vote. And whoever gets the most votes nationally wins. That's it. Doesn't matter what, imagine there are no boundaries. It's just the United States of America and all these people. Go to the polls and vote.
The truth is, in most elections, it wouldn't make a difference.
It wouldn't, probably.
2000, it probably would have made an election. Gore would probably have been president rather than Bush. There's an election or two back in the 1880s where it probably made a difference.
So most of the time, the winner of the Electoral College probably would win the popular vote.
And usually, the Electoral College will exaggerate the winner's lead. Because you may win by 5 percentage points and get 80% of the Electoral College. So it has a variety of impacts.
Interesting. All right, let's go to Brian. Hi, Brian.
Hey, good morning.
Morning, Brian. What's on your mind, big guy? Go for it.
A little late calling in. I thought Trump was going to win Pennsylvania, Ohio, Florida, and New Hampshire, but now I'm a little worried.
Yeah, you see some of the leads there, at least in the last week in the polls, shrinking. Why do you think that is?
I think that the people are just working and doing their jobs and leading their lives, and they ain't got time for this nonsense.
Do you think that means they're not going to vote, or does it just mean they're not going to vote for Trump?
Well, if they keep pushing people like this and telling them that Hillary's automatically going to be president, maybe they won't.
Well, I don't know that anyone's saying that. I mean, if you think Hillary's automatically going to be president right now, I don't. With what we've seen with Donald Trump, I don't bet against it. So, I bet that that's going to happen. So you don't think Trump, though, in some of these states is going to do as well as you thought originally, huh?
Yeah, that's what I'm starting to get worried about. think they're putting the big kibosh on him. I think it's a big conspiracy.
Yeah, now he will have you want to believe that if he loses, which is absurd, I'm afraid.
He
But,
will.
I mean, to say that and throw that out there, and there's plenty of conspiracy theories, to have said, look, I think the fix is in. What was your take when you said that?
I mean,
anyone who loses
sort of
can
hedging
say
his
that.
bets just in case
That's
he
the way
loses. It seems a little odd. I'm not sure.
Well, it's just anyone who loses can say that.
You
and
know,
it's like, come on.
one belief is that Hillary chose her vice president in part because Virginia is often sort of a purple state.
Okay.
And if that was her strategy, it seems to be working, at least in Virginia. Indiana, I think, probably was a more solid guarantee for Republicans even before the vice president was chosen, but certainly solidified support there.
Yeah, both of these VP candidates, I think, if the president candidates were looking to get folks that had no threat of overshadowing them in any way, they succeeded. Both
did,
of them, to me, are like solid individuals, I suppose. Whatever.
They're sort of reassuring. I mean,
but that's it. They're just very milquetoast.
No, I think that's right. Although I have heard people say, and I've been among them, that I'd be happier if both tickets were reversed.
Oh, I don't doubt that. That's probably true. Well, I'm trying to think of vice presidential candidates that were more. Well, Joe Biden's kind of a firebrand anyway, And then I always think back to Lloyd Benson for some reason as a candidate.
Well, he did well in the debates for sure.
I still remember all of that.
Yes.
But I mean, the role of the VPs in all of this. Do you think they pretty much are doing exactly what the candidates expected? I
think they are. I think they were both solid choices.
And it sounds to me like Donald Trump is good allowing, there to be differences.
He did, and particularly, I mean, Pence actually sort of saved him, I think, on the Ryan thing the other day. He by letting the vice president say, well, of course we're supporting Ryan, then that gave him permission to move over in that direction.
Which he eventually did after that.
Yes.
All right, so as we stand now with how much, we've got so much time. Is this a trend? Do you think we're going to see more swings clearly in the polls? Or is there suddenly now just this landslide rolling down where Trump is really going to have to battle to avoid saying the firebrand comments?
There's always that October surprise.
Yes.
There's always the possibility of a terrorist attack, an international incident, some revelation about one of the candidates or their families that we're not now familiar with.
Do both campaigns have what you would call a dirty tricks committee in the background, going back to Lee Atwater days?
I think they would call them research groups.
Okay, so is there, if both of them have that, is there, you would imagine, in each of their files, damaging information waiting to come out?
I don't know how long they wait, but I mean, certainly they continue to dig. And, the media, you hope, is doing the same thing. You hope there are people out there investigating both candidates and what they have to offer.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. The October surprise of something like that comes along. As we look close, by the way, Hillary Clinton's going to have her economics speech. You suspect her thing is going to be more trying to emphasize the little man than big business? I
think she's gonna have probably. I think she actually wants to raise taxes on the higher incomes.
Okay.
As a way of, particularly she seems concerned about keeping Social Security, and I know that's been one of her proposals for that.
Yeah, the Social Security aspect of things. And I don't know if I've missed this. Has Trump said anything about touching Social Security?
I don't believe so.
I haven't seen that on either. That pretty much came and went, didn't it, at some point under George Bush?
Yeah, in Bush's administration, there was the thought of privatizing it,
allowing you to invest some of the money yourself.
Right. That doesn't seem. When the stock market subsequently took a hit, a lot of people re-examined that.
Could you imagine if they had allowed folks to invest themselves? And then, for many people, Social Security is what they really need to lean on and support them to supplement. That would have been up in smoke along those lines.
It would have been interesting.
All right. Well, Professor Weil, as always, it is good seeing you. We'll see. As more things happen, we'll have you back on.
Sounds
in the meantime,
great.
get back and get ready for classes at MTSU.
Sounds
Two more weeks till school starts, right?
Absolutely.
It's good to see you, sir. We'll take a break. I'll be back to wrap things up right after this.